Have you ever looked at a garden and thought, well, it's looking pretty good, only upon closer inspection to realize that some of the weeds have maybe taken over? Now, plants can be tricky, and whether you identify it as a weed or not, that's up to you. But it depends on the intention of what you're wanting with that garden. So here we have a hardy succulent garden, but we've got some other plants mixed in as well. And one of the things that we've noticed is there is a weed that's kind of camouflaged itself among some of these other plants. Now, it wasn't an intentional camouflage. It might be that our eye just didn't capture it until we realized what it really was and it started growing. So some weeds can be aggressive and take off really quickly, and that's one way to identify that they are a weed. But another way is just to kind of recognize what it is at some point. So I want you to come down here with me for a minute and take a look at what we have. So we've got some different prickly pears and succulents in here, but this right here is a burnt candytuft that has been growing in this garden. You can see it had an earlier flower on it, and now it puts up these seed heads. This plant is intentional. It's hardy from zones 4 to 7. It is not a succulent, but it really likes this dry, arid alpine condition. So we've got this planted in here to kind of act like a low-growing ground cover to kind of fill in some of the spaces. It has a nice flower early on in spring. But if you look right next to it here, we've got what is known as pepperweed growing in here. And you can see that the seeds almost look somewhat similar, but one of the distinguishing features is that it has more of a green color versus the blue color that is of this burnt candytuft. Now, this pepperweed, Virginia pepperweed, I will say it is a native that grows around the US, but it can be quite aggressive. You can see the number of seeds that are going to come on here. Often you find it in disturbed areas, ditches, along gravel roads, things like that, because it does like that kind of real dry, tough conditions, and it needs good drainage. And so it's found a home here in our rock garden, just like the burnt candytuft. However, this is the one that we have decided to keep here and not the pepperweed. So we need to go in here, and I got to tell you, even though we're going to hand pull some of this, we are still probably going to have this pepperweed returning just because the amount of seeds. And being able to find those smaller ones that aren't quite as large is going to be tricky amongst all of this. So the one thing about this pepperweed is it's fairly easy to pull. It's got a good taproot on it, so you can pull it up like this. It's got its name because you can actually forage this and use this as a peppering seasoning. But we're gonna go ahead and pull this up. Again, there's some even smaller ones down in here. So we're just gonna have to tease these out. And that's how a lot of times these weeds will kind of camouflage themselves, and eventually, sooner than later, you're gonna realize like, oh my gosh, I have a lot more weeds than I realized in my garden. So that's why observation is one of the best tools in weed management. You wanna stay vigilant, you wanna know which plants you're looking for and which ones you might observe as weeds. We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.